Pixar movies are for kids, right? Well, that's undoubtedly true, but some of the scenes in these movies are way too dark for young eyes. In this video, we'll run through some prime examples of that. Seriously, some of these are enough to bring tears to the eyes of hardened adults. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It's the best way to keep up to date with all of Screen Rant's great new videos.
Where are your rebel friends now?
What better place to start than with Pixar's first movie, 1995's Toy Story. One of the movie's darkest scenes saw the sadistic Sid torturing Andy's beloved toys, including burning poor Woody with a magnifying glass, which is just awful, and quite upsetting for any young viewer who likes the cowboy. Toy Story again. Sid had some toys of his own, and you may remember they were all very strange, as he'd mixed and matched their parts in some very bizarre ways. The darkest part is that they'd all have been conscious and felt everything while he essentially conducted weird surgery on them. Another dark scene in Toy Story saw the tables dramatically turn on Sid as he became the victim of a cruel prank that saw the toys slowly approaching him in eerie, zombie-like fashion. He may have been a bully, but just imagine the psychological damage caused by this incident. In 1998's A Bug's Life, fake decoy birds were used to scare away Hopper, the movie's villain. In this scene, however, Hopper taunted a real bird, thinking it was fake. He was subsequently pecked to death and fed to the bird's chicks, which is actually a very grim death. 1999's Toy Story 2 saw Jessie singing a totally tragic song. It was all about how her owner forgot about her, how toys would always be left unhappy in the end, and how a life sitting in a museum was worth settling for. It's not only deflating, but it's downright grim. The villain in 2001's Monsters, Inc., Steve Buscemi's Randall Boggs, created a horrific torture device that made for a very dark scene. Boggs kidnapped Boo, a helpless 2-year-old girl, and strapped her into the Scream Extractor. It was like something from a Saw movie, but thankfully, Sully ultimately saved her. There's another scene in Monsters, Inc. involving Boo that's pretty dark. When Sully was meant to be looking after the toddler, he lost sight of her for a moment and was falsely led to believe that she'd been crushed in a trash compactor. Weirdly, the whole thing was played for laughs. In 2003's Finding Nemo, Marlin and Coral were enjoying their new home alongside their 400 eggs. When a barracuda attacked, Marlin was knocked unconscious and Coral was unable to fend it off. Marlin came around to discover that Coral and every egg bar one had been eaten. That's just absolutely devastating. There was a scene in 2004's The Incredibles where Mr. Incredible requested a cape, but super fashionista Edna Mode rejected the idea because capes had led to several superhero deaths. A bunch of scenes depicting those deaths were then shown, including one where a hero was sucked into a jet engine. In The Incredibles, the villainous Syndrome captured Mr. Incredible and made radio contact with his family while they were on a private jet. Syndrome sent a missile to take the jet down, and although his family actually escaped, the hero was led to believe they'd all died, which when you think about it, is very grim indeed. There's something in 2006's Cars that we'd like you to ponder. The character Mater lives in a junkyard. In a world of living vehicles, that's the equivalent of a human living next to a pile of body parts. Yikes. Bet you'll never look at his scenes in the same way again. In 2007's Ratatouille, when Remy's father tried to teach him how dangerous humans were, the resulting scene was gruesome. Django took Remy to a shop window, which, when lit up by a flash of lightning, revealed an eerie display of dead rats with their heads crushed in man-made traps. 2008's WALL-E had a happy ending, but the loneliness endured by WALL-E before that was heartbreaking. Think about it. The movie opened with him alone in a post-apocalyptic world, still doing the job he was created to do after humanity had destroyed the planet, making it uninhabitable. I'm not crying, you're crying. 2009's Up had a montage showing the story of Carl and Ellie Friedrichsen's marriage. Not only did it show the couple going through the trauma of a miscarriage, it also showed Ellie dying and the subsequent mourning Carl endured, which are very dark topics for a movie aimed at children. 2010's Toy Story 3 had one of the darkest scenes in Pixar movie history. The toys found themselves in an incinerator, and although they ultimately survived, seeing them accept their seemingly inevitable death was horrifying. Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head were holding each other while crying, for heaven's sake.
I will take care of it before any damage can be done.
In an early scene in 2011's Cars 2, the smart-talking Rod Torque Redline was tortured by the evil Professor Z, who used an electromagnetic magnifier to boil an unusual type of petroleum inside Torque until he exploded. That's undoubtedly a really brutal death for a movie aimed at kids. The main stars of 2015's Inside Out were the personification of Riley Anderson's emotions. However, another character living inside her head alongside them was Bing Bong, a lovable pink elephant and Riley's childhood imaginary friend. It was therefore heartbreaking when Riley forgot about Bing Bong, which resulted in his death. In 2015's The Good Dinosaur, the main character's father's death was incredibly dark and upsetting. When Papa Henry took Arlo on a journey to track a feral cave boy, they ended up in a ravine. There, Henry saved Arlo from a flash flood, but was subsequently swept away and killed himself. 2016's Finding Dory reunited us all with our favorite forgetful fish, the titular Dory. The entire plot revolved around Dory losing her parents, and the fact that it was actually shown in a flashback scene is particularly upsetting. That could be a fairly traumatic thing for a kid to watch. 2017's Coco had a horrifying moment in which the main character Miguel realized that Ernesto de la Cruz, Miguel's musical idol, murdered his great-great-grandfather Hector by poisoning him in order to steal his songs. Seeing Hector collapse and die on screen was absolutely terrible, and it certainly wasn't for children.
Mama Coco, please, don't forget him.
And that's the end of our video. Did you enjoy it? Can you think of any other instances when Pixar took a dark turn? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Screen Rant for more great videos just like this one. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you at the movies.